Welcome to Monza. It is one of the tracks. Luckily, we had a little bit of kind of better luck, I guess. Not entirely sure, but we are here regardless at Monza on the fastest qualifying lap as per usual. The last 4 races of the season are upon us already. I say already, I'm recording all these voiceovers basically 2 days in a row, so it's going great for me. One day I recorded yesterday, and then the good majority of the second half of the season, hello, a good majority of the second half of the season, I'm not re-recording that, is being recorded throughout the afternoon today, so this is weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. So, to date this, I'm recording this on December 22nd. Still nothing about, we have learned the previous week beforehand that the FIA have come up with the clever name of boost mode and overtake mode for the new aerodynamics instead of like DRS and everything. Although I have questions about corner mode and straight mode for the active aero. Like, really, that's all we could come up with? That we have a multi-billion-dollar corporation in corner mode and straight mode are the best we could come up with. Anyway, you're watching my qualifying time in the background, as we will come across not the best times, all things considered. We only come across to go with a provisional P3.
Right, let's have you in at the end of this lap, please. Starts.
And as the sprint race gets underway, you'll probably notice I'm in P6. Yeah, I got reverse grid P4. That's why I said provisional P3. So reverse grid P4. I qualified P4 because somebody had beaten out my time at the end of the session. But we are absolutely gone. Same thing until I completely blow past the first corner and I have to let Antonelli through, basically. So we were doing great for at least until turn 1, and then it just all went downhill from there. But we are 3 wide with Bortoleto and Maloney, where those two will stay side by side. I'm trying to figure out every which way I can go. None of them are really giving any room. I decide, you know what, I'll make a lane for myself and go down to the inside, trying to very much keep at least the cars with the space plus when going by Maloney. But we do move up to P2, and then we'll skip ahead to the start of lap number 5, where we will snag the fastest lap away from Kimi Antonelli.
Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race.
And all things considered, it was a very calm race, very normal, all things considered, until I completely, nearly actually, blow by the first corner. You could see from the braking that I had, as well as the downshifting, that I am trying to catch up to Antonelli every which way I can. So Bortoleto is not going to be the one to be dominant here in this race, shockingly enough. Instead, it's going to be Antonelli. But we are sticking within 2 seconds of Kimi, so we do have a chance to stay ahead, or to catch up to Antonelli, to get within DRS range as we go over the curb in the latter half of Ascari. And very lucky that there's no floor damage, at least in the Formula 2 cars, because it would be utterly destroyed in the Formula 1 cars themselves.
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good.
So we go through to Parabolica, and just way too much tire on the curb, and I just carry way too much speed, so that will ruin any advantage that I had over Bortoleto, and ruin any momentum that I had in terms of catching Kimi Antonelli. So we will swiftly move on to lap number 15, where I'm just trying to push as hard as I can, going a little bit wide in the Lesmo 1, and same with Lesmo 2, just because the left side tires were a little bit dusty. It does not help too much, but I am trying, man. But at this point, I should have realized it's not worth pushing, because we go into turn number 1, and, well, Isaac Hadjar steals away our fastest lap, unfortunately. Bortoleto has caught up to us. He's not in DRS range quite yet, but we're supposed to stay ahead of Bortoleto until lap 18 for some arbitrary reason. There's my tire wear. This is the second track where it had some form of tire wear on the left front, specifically the left front and only the left front, where it has just been absolutely horrendous of trying to keep up and keep stable. I don't know why, but for some reason it is just kind of that awful to try and maintain. But aside from me fumbling Lesmo too, just a little bit. This is usually what I've been dealing with throughout the race, of just driving. I know, who would have thought, actually racing in a race and like no one's around. I am a little bit worried here because I've learned that the objective for staying ahead of a driver is really dumb and doesn't count until the end of the lap. Once the driver passes you, you don't get a chance to get that back. And it's really, really, really dumb. But not as dumb as what I'm about to do here in turn number 1. Luckily, I do hit the target. But trying to defend against Bortoleto, I decide, you know what, let me just go full on the brakes and hope that he can actually survive. Luckily, I do. But Bortoleto does try and fight back to the left-hand side. He has closed up with everybody else behind him. More than a couple cars. I think quite literally about 3 cars behind him. So we go into the Parabolica once again. And again, just tires on the curb. I lift off a little bit, just so I'm sure that the car doesn't implode in terms of having any form of grip. Or any loss of grip, I guess. There's a sentence there somewhere that makes sense. I'm trying to defend anyway against Bortoleto, trying to shake the slipstream, but the AI is way smarter than that and isn't as fun and won't actually follow you to get the slipstream. I go with a switchback though and firmly shut the door, but I do make sure to give a little bit of space there through the first chicane. So we are back into P2, but man, were we ever faltering. And here we go with 2 laps to go, once again on the defense from Bortoleto. Just trying to, again, survive, trying to get P2. Trying my best at least to mitigate any damage of having Antonelli get any points over us. We are basically 1-1. Well, not 1-1 right now. As Bortoleto goes over the curb a little bit wide, almost runs into us. Almost Hamilton Verstappen-esque. Almost. Just not on pit exit and way less on the curb for Bortoleto. But we do survive, we do defend, and we survive to live another day. And we go down to the final lap, and this time our last chance to defend against Bortoleto. We've been doing great every which way so far for the past few laps, but will it be too much? We go defensive once again. Bortoleto to the outside. We break it basically the same time for what I can tell, and I go enough to the point where I decide I have to downshift to first gear, and that does it for a successful defense for the sprint race. Because after that, literally nothing happens, so we move on swiftly towards the end of the lap. Not sure why I cut it so far ahead in terms of defending, but either way, Antonelli will go through the Parabolica, will come through to finish in P2, and Bortoleto top 3. Hilariously, all 3 cars that had some sort of pace on these kind of tracks are all in the top 3 for the sprint.
My friend, is a fantastic reward. Well done.
And so we take a look at the point standings after this. We are 55 points ahead of Ollie Behrman, and Antonelli 56 points behind us. Hajar 76 points back.
Welcome everybody to the heart of Italian motor racing, Monza. We're here with Formula 2 for what ought to be an extravaganza of excitement and action. Let's head to the start line and get underway. Monza's emphasis on long, fast straights typically rewards a low drag setup, but teams using that could face some problems in these conditions. Watch out for Parabolica, possibly this track's most demanding corner. We may see cars struggling for grip there. So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's results with a look at the starting grid. Isaac Hajar lines up on pole position, and it's Paul Aaron in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Behrman, Colapinto, Frostbite, Martins, Correa, Maloney, Antonelli, Gabriel Bortoleto, Fittipaldi, Dirksen, Amory Cordial, Ritomo Miata, and Vishor, Stanek, O'Sullivan, Pepe Marti, Miney, Barnard, Hauger, and Jack Crawford completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch.
Now, normally I would have left it through for the 5 lights, but Normally, I would have cut the start of the race a little bit sooner, but I just had to show that fade to black because I don't know why the game still does that. It changed the skybox as well when you go from the formation lap to the race conditions. So I don't know why. It's really weird. Oh, by the way, in case you couldn't tell, it's raining at Monza. Why is it raining now in Formula 2 of all? Who turned on the wing? Who turned... oh, God. I am dying. I'm so flabbergasted by the fact that it's raining here at Monza that I can't word good, apparently. But we are 55 points ahead of Kimi Antonelli and then 56 points ahead of Behrman, or probably the other way around. They're both Prema cars, and they're both insane in terms of the team championship. They basically lock it up, I think, in this race. But the very key thing is, as I double-check the counter here, we have a chance to at least lock out the championship points for one race early at the current pace that we are going at. In total, if we want to lock it out for the rest of the season, you would have to finish 78 points or higher ahead of everybody else by the time we head into round 12. And, well, with this kind of a corner, that's absolutely not going to happen. Plus, Behrman's in the points anyway. So we cut through the gravel and the scurry, and we are absolutely struggling in these conditions to start off with, which seems to be par for the course with just general wet conditions. Hadjar gets the fastest lap, but I will very swiftly snag it out of the way. Never mind, maybe not. I think I left it in because Hadjar got the fastest lap, but it goes down to Colapinto, so we are safe. So right here, I'm trying to figure out what I can do to catch up, to try and do something. I do notice that I am catching Correa in the first chicane, so it is possible that I can slowly but surely make my way up through the field as this race continues on. It is a wet to dry race here at Monza, so we do have a chance of being able to actually pull off at least a podium position, a podium finish, as we lock up the left front a little bit. Correa, we nearly turn him around. Luckily, we don't get a penalty for that, but he is so slow into the second chicane and into the Lesmo that I'm very surprised that we are able to stick with the AI, considering that sometimes in certain wet conditions, they are faster, so it's a little bit weird, but we're not able to get by Correa here. So it's down into the front straight once again, down to the Lesmo again, actually, down towards the second chicane. I know track maps and everything. But down to the second chicane, fastest in the first sector again, we will go past Juan Manuel Correa, and we'll move ourselves up into the top 5. So the very, very, very slow but methodical climb does begin here as we start to set our sights on Colapinto to move forward, quite literally and figuratively. And of course, with that 5th lap, we do set the fastest lap. We are here on lap 6. Colapinto we have caught up to, setting another fastest first sector once again. We are on the gearbox of Colapinto, attempting to try and make a move into the Lesmo, seeing if we can try and do something, but we are just not able to throw the car in and have it stick like we are in dry conditions. But here for Lesmo 2, it is a possibility, but I decide no, I'm just going to back out here and hope for the best. But this is what I struggle with here, is as well as the conditions themselves, not only the cars but the conditions. As we are, we'll skip ahead up to lap 9. And the tires, I decided to go here to try and cool them down a little bit. The tires, the conditions are changing, but I just have way too much speed, and I bonk the front wing on the back of Colapinto, so we go through all the bollards, and we do let Colapinto through on top of Correa, on top of a 3rd driver and a 4th driver, and yet we still get a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. In the entirety of me seeing Formula 1 itself, or Formula 2, I have never seen the fact that we had to actually stop after going through the bollards. Yes, we went through the polystyrene, but we dropped 3 positions before that time penalty was applied. So I call bullshit with that one, honestly, as we will swiftly move on to lap number 12 and not only overshoot the corner again because of our front wing, but this time we'll actually come to a stop a little bit beforehand. Granted, we rolled for 2 kilometers an hour, but maybe now it'll be more forgiving. And of course, this time it's a lot more forgiving. and we will decide to go ahead and box, stick it out through to the end of the race, but we will box not only to change the front wing, but to also get the slick tires, the mediums, for the remainder of the race as we come through to the end of this. And we decide, or I decide, I should say, to just stay out. I am not pitting in that mess. Antonelli had the same idea, along with, I think, a third driver behind us here momentarily. There it is, it's Miata, who also has the same idea of just, nah, I'm not going to box in the middle of that mess. And I decide, yeah, it's the best idea to just stay out and go through for another lap. Even though we are on tread tires on a drying track, it's better to do, it's better to stay out and go for another lap. But I definitely kind of wish, with that speeding penalty, that I had instead boxed with everybody else, because we are 8 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. And we skip through to the end of our pit stop. This is going to be a very key thing. Watch the car ahead of us, also on slick tires. That is Miata. He goes out through just fine, and then we go through as well, but we have zero traction. Quite literally, zero traction. I don't know what the hell that's all about, where Miata, like, yes, it's still raining, it's still greasy, don't get me wrong, I fully understand that. But the fact that the AI cars aren't affected by that apparently at all is really, really pure bullshit. So we are defaulting to a longer pit stop now, a 20-something second pit stop, and, well, our race is going to come to an end early. And now we are forced to retire because of a gearbox issue. With the phrasing of that radio call, I hope they change that, because watch out for jams and missed gears makes me think, oh, okay, I can keep going. No, I'm forced to retire. Like, why doesn't it say, we have a gearbox problem, please box, or please retire the car, something. But no, watch out for jams and missed gears, and yet it gives me the impression we can keep going. Unfortunately, we cannot, and our race is done early. So that means the championship standings have faltered. We are now 2 points out of range of locking in the title from Ollie Behrman. That's a sentence that makes sense, but collectively 37 points, 41 points, and 51 points from Behrman, Antonelli, and Hajar. As we move on to Baku, our fastest lap was the second lap that we had set, and it was a struggle. Now, don't get me wrong, this track is incredibly simple. It is a very easy track. I know this track inside and out. I know how this track is. I mean, of course, I know all the tracks in the F1 calendar, but even still, this was a challenge and a half. Still salty about the whole Monza thing, though, to be honest. I kid you not. But while we have a moment to talk about Monza, really hope that the LiDAR scanning is done for the track as well, because I would kill to have the Ascari chicane but remodeled. That would be great. It would be nice if they were able to update it in the 2026 update. There's no reason they can't. There's no reason they can't scan it in the off-season right now. There's no reason they are not scanning that. As far as I know, allegedly, because I don't know if they outright confirmed it or not, but they did say that the Madrid circuit allegedly is going to be in the F1 26 expansion. Alright, so in between the last 2 seconds for you and for me, about 2 minutes, I looked back at the PR release again. They are going to be having, they say, I think it's like the 2026 F1 calendar. The game set to represent both the 2025 and 2026 Formula 1 World Championships, so that could be meant as anything. They do specifically say new cars, sporting regulations, teams, and drivers, but they don't say anything about tracks. So maybe at some point, but I don't know. Either way, we're coming to the end of my qualifying lap here. So from P22 to a whole staggering P15. Oh wait, that's just P16. That's even worse. Yeah, we didn't have the best luck, but oh well. Hopeful for the sprint. And we are away for the sprint race, just getting by Joshua Dirksen, easily passing Maloney, and very tempted to make it 3 wide on the inside of Stanek and Antonelli, but that was just not going to work. So the car would have fit into that gap, but if gap car sometimes does not work out too well. Who would have thought? As Antonelli gets loose on corner exit, we make our way through and follow towards the through the first DRS zone without DRS, and we go well alongside, and then well past Kimi Antonelli himself, as we now set our sights on Colapinto towards the a very unexpected passing zone, but still a passing zone nonetheless. And I think it's only unexpected in real life, but in game, very easy because the AI does not get too much of a good run here. They have a great run up on corner exit, but on braking, they're just a little bit too early, I think, in comparison to what they could be for the players. So we do get by Franco Colapinto. And the pattern does continue as we make our way by Roman Stanek here with a little bit of a, I don't know if you can call it a switchback necessarily, but we at least try and get alongside Stanek, but I decided it's just not worth the risk heading into the castle section especially. But not the only place where we can pass drivers, as Stanek gets a little bit loose and somehow doesn't lose any momentum, because that makes perfect sense. But we do get to the inside of Roman Stanek this time, and we are firmly alongside in the high-speed section, as we will make our way through and up to P10.
Good job.
Engineer luckily agreeing with us, I would hope so, as we skip ahead towards lap number 3, where Bortoleto and Marti, now lap number 4, as Bortoletti and Mardo. I'm just gonna roll with that actually. But as Bortoleto and Marti almost go side by side. Bortoleto could have sent it there on Marti, but for some reason he decides not to. So Marti left without DRS, and we'll be the ones to pick up the scraps of the battle in a sense, as we will go to the left-hand side. Marti kind of feints to defend, but also not necessarily, so we will very firmly shut the door and nearly run our front wing into the wall as we move ourselves up to P8 into the points, luckily, as we will be chasing down Hajar and Miata. And we have absolutely left Bortoleto and Marti in the dust. I almost made that same mistake again, but both drivers, Hajar and Miata, battling side by side, brings me right into this battle, especially with that turn 2 entry. And Hajar's trying to defend. He does have DRS, but it's a matter of who's going to be the latest on the brakes in comparison. We're about the same, so I decided to just barely poke the front wing alongside the rear axle. And we do get around side Hajar. He does try and fight back. We get around Hajar, quite literally, around the outside. We're up to P6. And then we move on to try and get by Hauger, feint to the left and just go right. Not exactly selling the dummy when the AI can't exactly respond to that fully, but Hauger does fight back shockingly in the braking zone. I think I was just a little bit too timid in the turn 1 braking zone, so we'll follow Hauger through turn 2. I'll call it turn 3. But we will follow through in DRS, go to the right-hand side again, and we'll be a little bit more aggressive in terms of getting through. So we move on to the point where we catch up to Victor Martins in turn 4, locking up the left front, and we just avoid the barrier, but we drop down the order. We were in P5, we could have been P4, and instead now we are sitting all the way back in P9, and that is not where the downward spiral stops, just as a little bit of a precursor. But for now, we do move up past Miata into P8 for the sprint race. We're back in the points, at least getting 1 point, and we'll see if we can get by Hauger. See, that's the behavior there that confuses me, where Hauger goes to the right, tries to get by Martins, and then just kind of stops trying, which is very fascinating. Martins is going to just poke his front wing to the inside. They'll actually get alongside us. I decided to play, I don't know why I thought that, oh yeah, I know exactly why. DRS, that's why. I don't want to give Martins DRS, so I indirectly brake check Hauger, but I do let Martins go through. We have the DRS, and we will follow through in the slipstream, go to the left-hand side. Martins actually defends. We'll go around the outside, at least try to, but that pass was, that attempt was all for nothing, and I kind of wish at this point that I did just stay in front of Martins and fought him off with DRS, because we can't get anywhere alongside him until this next corner exit. And there it is right here. Martins will go through to the left-hand side, or to the right-hand side, but we dive through, and we just can't quite make that move. So we're stuck behind Martins for the time being until a corner exit here, and Martins is going to be the one to be forced to back out since we're on the racing line. And finally, we go up to P6. And then that pretty much does it for the rest of the race. We successfully defended against everybody behind us because we go P6 in the sprint, 2 points to us.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
And yeah, I cut right to the end because there wasn't much to talk about after that. Behrman, Hadjar, and Antonelli 40, 43, and 44 points behind me, but they're all collectively within 4 points of each other.
Baku never fails to disappoint fans of Formula 2, so hold on tight. The cars are set on the grid and any moment we'll be starting today's race. Welcome to Azerbaijan. It's 3.7 miles around each lap of the Baku City circuit with 7 rights and 13 lefts, giving us a total of 20 corners. Keep an eye out for the safety car today. This circuit already has a reputation for instance, and it's only going to be worse in these conditions, particularly through the incredibly narrow turn 8. Let's take a look at the grid positions for today's race. Gabriel Bortoletto lines up on pole position, with Franco Colapinto alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Pepe Marti, Hadjar, Ritomo Miata, Miney, Martins, Aaron, Hauger, Jack Crawford, Antonelli, Stanek, Zane Maloney, Joshua Dirksen, Behrman, Frostbite, Correa, Amory Cordial, O'Sullivan, Barnard, for sure, and Enzo Fittipaldi completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's get down to the track.
And it is a wet start here at Baku. Remember, we qualified P16, so we are not starting anywhere near the points, but we're about to split our way through into potential points-paying positions, but we are absolutely blocked off entirely. We forced both Dirksen and Maloney to back out. Somehow I made had a collision with Maloney, but we continue on regardless. I try and think we can get to the outside of Antonelli on turn 2, but not going to be the case. We get a better corner exit compared to Stanek, and it is right there. The points are right here with Hauger and Antonelli side by side, so as long as I finish ahead of these two, or at least Antonelli namely, I should be fine as I nearly go nose first into the gearbox of Crawford. We're going to go 3 wide with him and Paul Aaron, and just like that, 4 corners in, we have made our way up to P8. We made our way up 8 spots, by the way. The lap 1 behavior of the AI is sometimes a little bit abusable in terms of how good or bad they can be. And we're about to add another position as we go alongside Victor Martins, just in the braking zone. Wheel to wheel once again, wouldn't be the first time here. And then we make our way now up to P7. Insane gains on lap number 1 as we nail the castle section. Of course, in the wet conditions, we nail our front wing there. So we are absolutely struggling until the next pit stop. It's not severe enough to have damage, but still is severe enough to mess up with our aerodynamics as we just hold on to it there. Just lifting off the throttle. A couple laps later,
Weather's turning. We think it's time to box now.
the best message that I want to hear, which also means, hey, it's time to replace your front wing. We'll stick the rear front axle to the inside of Miata, who makes contact with the castle section just like we did, and he also bumps our front wing indirectly. And as a result of that debris and Miata being slow, he will completely tumble down the order. At least he would normally, but he is about to be saved as we come in for our quote-unquote scheduled pit stop. The safety car will come out as a result of that debris.
Okay, the safety car is out. Safety car is out. We need to
A little bit of an early call for that one, I am aware, but, well, with all that debris in the castle section, it was kind of expected, I feel like. And on the way back to catching up with the field, we hit the front wing. I have no words. I just overpushed the corner. So I decided, instead of staying on the soft tires and staying in P11, we're going to go ahead and go back into pit road, box again, and we'll take our set of super softs pretty much to the end of the race, if I remember correctly. Actually, no, I changed it to separate. Yeah, so we are on super softs. I'm looking at the wrong name here, but we are starting behind Versure. We are dead last. Miata's still going, and we can't go by Versure, who just doesn't get going. He is caught sleeping. I can't pass him before the finish line, so we're stuck behind him. We're forced to back out because Versure, I don't know if he just had a slow start or what, but we are unfortunately stuck in P21 or P22. Now we're in P21 as we move up to the inside of Versure. So we cut through to turn 4 a little bit later on in the lap, as we make our way by Taylor Barnard as well up to P20. We have 21-ish laps, depending on how you want to look at the lap count, to try and get back into the points. But man, oh man, it is a race and a half. Lap number 9, we catch up to Crawford with DRS enabled this time, but it is a train upon trains. The most DRS trains who have ever trained, that is for sure. They're nearly 3 wide in front of me. Fittipaldi and Cordelia side by side. Behrman, interestingly, in P16 here as well, so he's also not getting the best day here at Baku, as we'll switch back rapidly to the inside of Cordelia. We just avoid making contact, and we won't get by Cordelia until the next section here, but, well, because he cut the corner, we have to give that position back to Cordelia. So we are, again, stuck behind Cordelia up until this section here, the next lap. No, we could not pass him in the DRS zone because he also had DRS, so we were stuck behind him up until we can make our move here just before the castle section. And finally, we catch up to Fittipaldi, moving up to lap 11. This time, we'll take it a little bit easy here into turn number 1, but he is quite slow. And we'll get the DRS detection here, and we'll make the move early as we get DRS. So will Fittipaldi, but we will go alongside and a little bit scruffy, a little bit scrappy as well, but we do get up to P17. After making our way up to catch up to Ollie Behrman, turn number 2 to towards turn number 3 in the DRS zone, we will drag race with Behrman, who also has DRS from Stanek. But again, this is not for points. This is just us making our way through. We're on super soft tires, by the way, so with how I'm driving, yes, I do have the advantage now, but a little bit later on, it will absolutely come back to bite me in terms of super soft versus soft tires. It's not going to pay off too well, but this is what I've been doing. This is what I was doing throughout the entirety of this race. That's why we have rapid cuts, insanely rapid cuts, just going forwards and forwards and forwards, because it's not for points either. It's nothing really worth looking at. We catch up to Dirksen on lap number 14 after being by Stanek. We're going to go by him as well up to P14 just before the castle section, and we'll just think about passing Miata, but I learned from what happened before, so I back out and wait for a better opportunity to pass Miata, which will be the front straightaway. And we are now up into P13, although with no DRS, considering we'll be behind Hauger, but Miata will be behind us. And we'll be forced to defend for a little bit. But we call up to Hauger eventually. As he locks up on corner entry, we'll get by him. Good timing on my part, considering we could have had a 3rd damaged front wing. Lap 17, we've catched up to O'Sullivan at P11, and we nearly hit the inside wall. We're going to do the same switchback that we did earlier with Cordelia, although putting the nose cone to the rear housing. The rear light housing of O'Sullivan's car. Not intentionally. He will try and fight back, but we'll have the preferred lane here on the right side. A very tight squeeze, but a pass is a pass nonetheless. So we are looking at a potential points-paying position as we catch up to Correa, who is side by side, or at least behind Maloney and Martins. And we will get around to the outside of Correa, finally back into the points after, I think, 10 laps, if I remember the count correctly. It was a slog, it was brutal, but we finally get back up into the point standings. We have Martins in our sight, lap 18, but the curb just unsettles the car and we go tumbling down the order once again. And that is a mistake fully all on my own. We go back to dead last. And as a result of that, we do not have a chance of getting points, especially with the Super Sauce being as worn as they are. So we are going to skip quite heavily through to the end of the race, basically, where Stanek and Cordelia are side by side. I did make up a few positions to P17, but yeah, it was not a good turn one there. My tires, you can see as well, are thrashed in comparison. So we skip ahead to the ladder portion. Isaac Hadjar wins. That's how much of a gap he has on the entire field, and namely me. This is not going to go well for us in the point standings, as we'll come across the start-finish line after a brutal Baku race. And at least we finished, but the cost is a huge deficit heading into the last 2 rounds.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
And so as a result of that, we are now 17 points ahead of Hadjar. We have a chance, maybe, to lock it up after the completion of Qatar, but all things considered, with Hadjar's pace and how he's been this season, we have a title fight on our hands heading into the last 2 races.